Let's talk special teams. Let's talk a lot of new faces on special teams from what we've been used to. More Alex Ward and changing kicker and holder. Yeah. What's it like for you to really usher in a new look for that?
Yeah, I guess from the kicking standpoint, it's nice to have Colton and Mitch back from the punter and kicker spot. But if the long snapper spot is the spot that, obviously anytime you lose a guy like Alex Ward, who in my opinion was the best in the country for the last 2 years, you're worried about how you fill that role and be as consistent. But I really feel good about Gage. I think Gage King has come in. I think he's got a lot of the same personality traits as Alec. Everything's very important to him. He does a lot of the mental training stuff. I think it was good for him to come in and Alex be here last year, second semester, where he could just be around him a little bit and kind of pick his brain. And so I really feel good about him. And we got 2 young guys battling behind him. But it'll be interesting to see how you got to put them in the fire. So we'll have some scrimmage reps here coming up, and we'll see how that goes. Mitch is doing the majority of our holding.
How's he doing with that? That's different for him,
right? He's got the best hands on our team. Yeah, remember.
And he's a big guy. Colton was saying he's a big guy.
He's 6'7", but he also he grew up playing Australian rule football, and those guys catch 1 million balls in a game. And you're running around, they throw it to you. You're jumping to catch it. You're catching it over here. You're one-handed catching over here. He's got great hands, and so we feel really good about him as a holder. And then that from a return standpoint, it's the first time since I've been here that we've got a returning punt returner. We started my first year here. We had a freshman in Titus that did a majority of those for us, and then last year Xavier was a freshman. So one of the point of emphasis is being better in the return game, and so having a guy come back that's done it for a year, you're more confident with him. He's more confident in his role. And so that would be a really good thing for us to have that opportunity to. I think we were pretty good in our punt block game last year when we were pressuring kicks, whether we got there or whether we put pressure on the punter. But we need to do better in the return game. And
opportunity there.
Yeah. And so hopefully we can be better in that phase, and that's been a point of emphasis for us in the offseason.
You mentioned Colton Boomer cleared to play, but where do you think he is as camp begins from a strength and endurance standpoint?
I think he's a little rusty, but he's so talented. The first day was not what he would have wanted, but the second day you could immediately start to see it come back. And I don't think the normal fan realizes how hard that is. If you're a golfer, I always equate it to if I kick 14 balls, I got to kick all 14 through the upright. It's like trying to hit a small fairway every single time. It's a very hard thing. There's a lot that goes into operation between the snap has to be there, the hold has to be there, and then he has to do his job. So Colton's going to be fine. He's very, very talented. And then in that room, we've been trying to build depth. One of the things Coach challenged us on when we made the move, when it was first announced that we were going to make the move to the Big 12, is we got to build depth everywhere. And the only way to do that is through recruiting. And so going out and getting a guy like Grant Reddick, who is, a very capable player, a local kid, state of Orlando kid, that gives us some opportunities to do that. And but I think Colton's a guy that's going to just continue to build on his legacy here and hopefully has a great year.
What about high-pressure situations? There are going to be a lot of different stadiums. There's going to be an Oklahoma. How do you think he responds to pressure?
His mental makeup, that doesn't worry me. Colton's a gamer. He's better in games than he is in practice, and I think he would tell you the same thing. And
does that throw you as a coach? Do you want to see him do better in practice,
absolutely.
Right?
Well, it makes you worried every time, in any position. You put a guy out there and he had practice well, you don't know how he's going to perform. But for whatever reason, the bigger the moment, the better he is. And, one of the things we've told the guys, there's so many, the margin of error in the Big 12 from top to bottom is very small. Every team in the conference played at least 4 one-score games last year. And, a team like TCU who went 4-0 and a team like Oklahoma who went 0-5 in one-score games, that's the difference in those 2 seasons. And so for us, it's going to come down to a point where Colton's going to have to make a kick to win a game. And so we just got to put him in enough pressure situations at practice that we can do that, but there is no substitute for that in the game. And but I feel confident that when we run him out there that he's going to be fully able to do it.
What do you envision for kickoffs?
That's losing Riker Casey was big because he was
Mr. Reliable.
Yeah, you just knew what you were getting with him, and 70% of his kickoffs were touchbacks last year, or 72%.
Which you like, right?
You love.
Is there a target number?
I think anything over 70% is really good, and then you got to be good in coverage. And there's some really good return units in this conference. Kansas State is constantly one of the better kickoff return teams in the country. You're going to have to be good against those guys. And but we brought in a guy named Kristen Esmond Oxnard, who was at Tulane last year. He'll compete for the job. Grant Reddick will compete for that job. And, we'll see which one of those guys can be the most consistent in getting it done.
But your preference not to have Colton do it?
We would rather not. We'll give him opportunity if that's what it takes.
But there's a fatigue in that over the course of the season. We saw with Daniel Obarski over the course of a year. You're doing both.
It is. And that's been our goal. My goal as a special teams coordinator, I like to have it split. I've always tried to split it everywhere I've been. And if you can do it that way, I would rather it be that way.
Let's talk tight ends.
Yeah.
Alec Holler.
Yeah.
The Michael Kalubiali of tight ends.
Yeah.
6 year. What's it like to have a reliable set of hands like that? A guy that likes to block.
Yeah. He's just Mr. Consistency. Alec's a guy that doesn't mind the blocking role of the tight end, and when you need a big play, he seems to always be there to make it. And I think about when he and I sat down at the end of the year and okay, you got a 6 year, what are you going to do? And that was a really hard decision for him. But I think this university means so much to him, Trace. He is a guy that I've learned so much about the history of UCF, and we don't take for granted the moment that we're in and move it to the Big 12 and all the people and the fans and the players and coaches that came before us to put them in position to do this. But he's a guy that lived that. He was at every game. He grew up a UCF fan, and so he's been following UCF football all his life. So I think it was important for him to be a part of that first Big 12 team, and then to be voted by his teammates as captain even took it to a whole nother level. Alec's a dependable guy. His teammates love him. He's got great leadership qualities about him, and he pours into the younger guys.
I was going to say, do you see him in a leadership role, but do you see him mentoring too?
Absolutely. Every day of practice you can see it. When he's not on the field repping, he's constantly got Randy Pittman or a Grant Stevens or a Thomas Wadsworth, and they're in there, and he's just talking to him about his experience. And, hey, when you get this, think about this, and it allows me to focus on who's playing on the field at the time, and he's constantly reinforcing those things on the sideline.
How would you describe the rest of that room? We keep hearing Randy's name.
Randy's had a really good spring, but the guy that's the most unheralded in that room is Zach Wojan. Zach Wojan played a lot of snaps for us. We were 42% of our offense was 12 personnel last year with 2 tight ends on the field. So Zach's played a lot of quality reps for us. I always say Zach's the dirty work guy. He don't mind putting his hand in the dirt and blocking. He's strong. He's a guy that nobody knows about, but you're glad you got him. And very capable. We held him out of spring. He had a knee injury, and right now he's moving better than he did at any time since I've been here. I think we're finally starting to see some flashes of what probably the previous staff saw when they brought him in. So I'm really glad that he's there. Again, another 6 year guy. So we got 2 6 year guys, and then you got a freshman like Randy who's super talented, has an opportunity to be one of the better players that I've coached for sure. He can do a lot of things, and it's just the most important thing, or I guess the most impressive thing to me was how he's come in and tried to learn it and treat it like his job and learn in the playbook.
How does the role of tight end change in Darin Hinshaw's offense?
There's some things. We're split out some. Probably a little bit more than we have in the past, but there's so much similarities. I think college football is everybody runs the same thing. It's more systematic. How do you get the plays in? What are you calling in situations? But everybody's running the same plays, and so I think a lot of people put emphasis on that. And I really think it's more about who are your people that you got on the field and what can they do well, and then you build it around them. So I do think that the tight end role is going to be the same whether we're in Gus Malzahn's offense, Darin Hinshaw's offense. What matters is Randy Pittman on the field, or is Alec Holler on the field, or is Zach Wojan on the field, and what do those guys do well, and you build it around them and put them in position to be successful.
The fans are buzzing about the move to the Big 12 as a coach. Yeah. How does it feel for you?
Oh, it's exciting. It's exciting. I love the challenge. I was a high school coach for 21 years, so one of the things that I wanted to do was be uncomfortable. So I took the jump to college football, and Coach Malzahn gave me that opportunity. And so just in the last 7 years, just learning the college game has been really good for me. And now having an opportunity to do it in the Big 12, you're getting a whole new set of teams. The Big 12 conference is different. It's an offensive conference, or has been an offensive conference, but there's still really good defensive teams in there. But there are some really good special teams in there. So for me, it's growth, it's challenge. It's one of those things that you look at it, and if you've got anything to you, you're excited about it.
And you can't wait to get going.
Yeah, and we work so hard with our players year-round that you want to put them in a position where they're challenged and against the best. and I think we have the opportunity to do that. And then it's been challenging to us from a recruiting standpoint. It's been a new challenge from a preparation standpoint. It's a new challenge, and Coach talks about our road schedule this year, and I think we travel more than any team in college football in terms of miles. That's a challenge, and but we're going to embrace all of those things and make that a part of who we are in this new 2023 season.